Good evening, please, and welcome to XTV's news broadcast for Wednesday, December 11, 2024. Making the headlines tonight, UEF to meet UNICEF Belize about national hair policy. Agriculture Minister happy after meeting Mexican counterpart. Mayor Wagner hopes garbage fee is part of his legacy. And man dead after alleged room invasion at a Tobacco Key resort. We take our first break and return with the news in detail.
Singmas 2024.
Lisi, around said you.
Welcome back with your news. I am Marisol Amaya. Yaya Marin Coleman, chairperson of the UBAD Educational Foundation, UEF, has requested meetings with officials from different organizations whose focus is the well-being, development, and rights of children and human rights. This is in connection with her advocacy for the Ministry of Education to introduce a national hair policy and legislation for schools in Belize in order to put to an end discrimination against students over their hair. Today, at her fourth day of protest in front of the Belize District Education Center on Mahogany Street in Belize City, Marin Coleman reported that one of 3 institutions which she communicated with has agreed to a meeting.
One of the things we do since the last time with the OCHA, you have sent a letter to 3 entities where it's of interest to them. So we sent a letter to the Human Rights Commission of Belize, the National Commission for Families and Children, and UNICEF. We asked for face-to-face meeting with them for no long talking. We just want to know, are you aware of these 2 human rights violations? If you know, when you may know. You do anything about it? UEF, the lead on process, do you want to participate in the process? So tomorrow morning, we have a meeting with UNICEF, and a high-level meeting with UNICEF. So as soon as next week, I will have some report back. I've had communication with the National Commission for Families and Children, and the person who I talked to was very interested in what I had to say. So I'll go ahead and send on the 11 news stories, which show 6 districts, 4 towns, 3 villages from primary school to junior college, Belize. We'll make the news because remember a lot of them violations get reported where they had hair discrimination. And then last but not least, I did make contact with the person who is in charge of policy for the Ministry of Education. I just tell you no, because the last time I tell them to try reach out, and I'm goodly reasoning, but next Wednesday I will have updated on that as well. So right now I'm really excited, but remember Malika Wagner, that my hairstylist, 5 hours. You know what it takes to make this hair stand up? You see the wire what I use to make read, that maybe supposed to start bust the head, but I give thanks to Malika Wagner for the wine number. Now call me and I give them a Malika number. And I really appreciate the support where I get from the community. Kim Grandma go, I'll give me breakfast from the morning when I choir. Really good community support. And I give thanks that we have our own media house, because it's the only media house that the report. I keep the site for make one point, but you know you say I'll give people enough rope make them hang themselves. The other media house that knows that a rope they get there for hang themselves.
Marin Coleman also had a development to share regarding an offer for legal accompaniment for her advocacy.
UEF work with Global Legal Action Network. It's an international organization of attorneys, primarily European attorneys, and UEF link with them for environmental justice work. So, but of course I share other UEF work, so imagine my surprise when they reach out and say, if you need any legal guidance, we have links to Caribbean attorneys where at minimum I could listen to you and offer legal guidance. So that was big for UEF as well. So you know what I said, Tiger Maga about the Kakatari? That UEF, mark my words, you know, they want to change it. The power of the people bigger than the people in power. Remember that.
Just one thing, have you considered submitting a Freedom of Information request for those supposed policies that the ministry says it has?
It is on the to-do list, but because we allow like I said, I talked to the person in charge of policy, and based on what he tell me, I not reveal everything yet, but based on what he tell me, would allow the process for work. And then if we check off everything on the box and that no work, of course, especially because we've always been aware of the Freedom of Information Act. I have to give mad respect to Candy Gonzalez in particular for creating one book for the community use, for tell we how to write the letter, who you for send it to, really help with community organizing. Respect to Candy and George Gonzalez. They're not there physically with them, but the energy of the work what they do really matters. So enter here about Freedom of Information Act, I think about Candy Gonzalez in particular. And then with the Belizean journalists, where the fisheries journalism with recently, and we hear this consistent issue, which comes back to another thing, and I know it might seem off topic, but it isn't, because UEF does environmental justice work. Belize signed and ratified the ESCAZO agreement, which is the regional agreement on access to public information access to information, public participation, and justice in environmental matters. So the Fisheries Department not sharing the information with Marco Lopez in particular, who asked for the fish stock data, is a violation of the Escazú Agreement. And there is a complaint mechanism, and it's one of the things that the UF is looking at for 2025. We have a whole Blue Bond campaign in 2025, and we could expect more community actions from UBAD Educational Foundation. And remember, under the people and save the people.
For this year, Marin Coleman will protest just one more day, and that's on Wednesday, December 18. Agriculture Minister Jose May traveled to Palenque in Mexico over the weekend, where he met his counterpart, who was newly appointed under President Claudia Sheinbaum. The meeting occurred on the sidelines of a meeting organized by CIRSA, the parent body of OIRSA. CIRSA is the international organization responsible for cross-border plant and animal health. Minister May says he and the Mexican minister, Dr. Jorge Verdeguer Sacristan, discussed concerns that have arisen for Belize's incipient cattle industry due to the threat of the New World screwworm.
Prior to having screwworm in the region, there's a given protocol that Belize was given to export cattle to Mexico. But with the outbreak of screwworm in the region, that protocol changed. And they said to us that if we were to find a case of screwworm in Belize, we would be unable to export cattle to Mexico. That left us in a very nervous position because there are thousands, millions of dollars being invested in the cattle industry because of that market. And to not being able to export, then everybody was skeptical and they were already in doubt. Should I invest, should I not? Well, we are fortunate that Belize and El Salvador, up to yesterday, were still free of screwworm. Every Central American country has screwworm, including Mexico. So the U.S. has stopped export of cattle from Mexico to the U.S. Mexico has stopped the flow of cattle from Guatemala to Mexico. Mexico has stopped also from Nicaragua, from Honduras. So the only cat going into Mexico right now legally is from Belize. And so Mexico realizes that we have done a wonderful job at preventing screwworm from coming to the country. Up to last night, we were only Belize and El Salvador. That may change very, very shortly, but the risk that we may have it is slim because we don't import cattle. Again, we're the only country that does not import cattle on the hoof. So Mexico realizes that the informal trade, the cost of exporting cattle informally is a lot cheaper than exporting it legally, because the legal exportation takes a lot of cost. It takes quarantine, it takes vaccination, it takes sampling of blood, it takes feeding the animals to 21 days quarantine, it takes inspecting by officials from OIRSA, from Senacica, from Baja, and so it's a very expensive process to export cattle formally. The informal market, you have to vaccinate nothing, there's no quarantine, there's no cost, and so the cost of exporting informal cattle is far cheaper than formal. So who wants to export formal? So they realized that because they've put so many control measures in place that the contraband or informal trade was beating them. So the informal trade was far greater than formal trade. So they have now thought that it is best for them to revisit the protocols and try to ease up on the protocols, but still not allowing screwworm disease to come in.
May says he is happy about the decision to relax the measures. Since coming to City Hall, Belize City Mayor Bernard Wagner, who has a banking background, has emphasized fiscal prudence as a primary focus of his tenure. Part of this is ensuring self-sufficiency for the council so it can meet on its own its operational expenses. A large chunk of the council's revenue goes to the payment of garbage collection, which is outsourced to Belize Waste Control. The monthly fee for the service is just over $250,000. This week, the mayor told Creme News XTV it would be his best send-off to leave a council that has instituted a garbage fee when his term ends in a little over 2 years.
I want to leave with not having another council having to deal with this matter. That would be my best send-off, right? To not have any future council have to be grappling with this sort of, and that is why we have engaged in other various ways of new revenue streams. If you see, we are doing with the electric bus, we are doing with the electric taxis, we are doing with parking facilities. Those are new revenue streams. Public transportation in the city will be one of the city's greatest revenue streams in the next 10 to 20 years. If the model that we are putting together is left to grow and work, it will be the end of cyclical revenue streams for the council, because that will be year-round revenue streams, and then it would enhance the property, the trade, the liquor, the traffic. But you will never have the peaks and valleys again. So new revenue streams are important for a modern municipality. You can't rely on the conventional property, trade, liquor, because of the cyclical nature of those revenue streams. And that is why if we say we have 10 new smart parking facility all across the city generating 4,000 per week, and you have 10 of those, right? That's 40,000 per week. If you have your e-buses generating between 2 buses below 10,000 per week revenue, I'm talking gross revenues, so I'm not saying net, gross revenues, and those expand out, then you have a garbage fee. You will have a municipality then that is self-sufficient.
The mayor says there are some residents who have no issue with paying a garbage fee and notes that such a fee is collected in rural areas.
The city is now expanding into Belama for 4 or 5. Jane Ushers, the Gungulongs. That was not here 10 years ago or 20 years ago when previous mayors had to grapple with this same fiscal burden here, and people are really generating a lot of garbage. The city is generating tremendous garbage. So it's only smart and incumbent that some measure of consideration of a garbage fee. Why is it that all the other municipalities, residents who live in Orange Walk, residents who live in Dangriga, residents who live in Punta Gorda, residents are required to pay a garbage fee, but residents of Belize City are not? Why is that so? I don't understand why you are creating even more garbage. Where I live, I pay a garbage fee of $25 per month.
To the council?
To the private sector.
Okay.
To the private sector. It's a private entity that gather garbage in the Ladyville area. Every rural area pay a garbage fee. Why is Belize City so? It's not that the city is a growing city, right? We have over 700 plus streets. I'm not saying that, okay, it will be a significant fee, but if at least you could pay a $5 a month, that would enhance the council capabilities of bridging what the council would have to find along with that, and so it makes it a much easier on the council.
Reports are that the body of a male was found lying face down near a cabana on the grounds of Reefs End Lodge on Tobacco Key in the Stan Creek district. The resort's employees reportedly moved the man to a safer location and unsuccessfully tried to revive him. The man has been identified as 22-year-old Leonard Uzi Baltazar. According to reports, around 2:15 a.m. today, a tourist couple woke up to discover a man rummaging through their personal belongings in their room. A physical altercation then ensued between the male tourist and Baltazar, resulting in Baltazar being thrown over the balcony, which overlooks the Caribbean Sea. Police are investigating. After the break, Chamber hosts informational session on GST-free days. Stay with us. Following the announcement by the government of 4 GST-free days this month, members of the public have had several questions about what products the waiver will apply to and those to which it won't. Services will not be included, and so the Belize Tax Service has explained that the purchase of top-up for mobile phones will not be a part of the waiver, as that is considered a service. Likewise, the waiver will not apply to the purchase of motorcycles, as those are considered vehicles. However, car parts will be exempt of GST for those 4 days. Boats, however, are also not to be exempted. The tax service asks that businesses display the price of products inclusive of GST so that consumers can see on their receipts that the GST has been deducted. Businesses that do not comply will be issued with an NIP to be slapped with a fine starting from $5,000 and up. If a business chooses not to open on the GST-free days, they cannot be forced to do so. The tax department will have its help desk available on the GST-free days to provide guidance to consumers and businesses if needed. The numbers are available on the tax services website. They include 613-8375, 613-2773, 614-5731, and 613-4711. Staff will also be doing rounds at businesses to address concerns and answer questions in the next few days. Today, during an information session organized by the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Deputy Director General of the Belize Tax Service, Vilma Broster, explained some of the dynamics for businesses.
Importation, you will be paying the GST. There's no exemption there, any at all. But the good thing is that remember that you are able to claim your input tax. You have, I'll say, wholesalers who are both, you have businesses that are both wholesalers and retailers at the same time. The wholesale part, those are done to businesses, and so those persons are not entitled to the exemption. The final consumer is the one that is entitled to the exemption. And you also will be able to claim, like I mentioned, your input tax. So if you're charged GST, let's say you proceeded to buy, you're a business, and you went and you purchased, let's say, 100 hams for your small business. So you will be charged the GST. You will be able to claim that back, but you will not be reporting GST on that because it will be exempted if it's sell within the month of December.
Receipts should show a T to indicate a good that is taxable. In other news, the unemployment rate, according to figures released today by the Statistical Institute of Belize, SIB, for September 2024 continues to fall, with the latest figures showing a decrease of 1.8 percentage points to 2.1%. Diana Castillo, Director General of the SIB, shared who are the biggest employers.
Agriculture was one of the industries that saw the most growth, but it doesn't mean that that's the biggest employer by industry. The biggest employers by industry are wholesale and retail trade, community, social, personnel services, and tourism. These would be some of the industries that contribute the most to GDP, and likewise they contribute the most to employment. Agriculture is the fourth biggest employer in terms of industry.
Castillo was asked about the opinion of people on the street disbelieving the unemployment figures.
You know, the data that we produce is put out there for all our data users to use how they see best. We encourage our data users of all types, not just government, but other types of data users, the media, the public, businesses, to try and take a closer look at the data, to get in contact with us if we can clarify more and contribute to their understanding of the data so they're able to use it in a meaningful way. Yes, I understand that there is a disconnect between what is perceived count as persons who are unemployed and what the definition is. The SIB utilizes strict definitions as per international standards for compiling labor statistics, and so these are what the definitions are. So what we are doing now, as I said, is we're doing more analysis on the persons not actively engaged in the labor force to give a clearer picture of what these persons might be doing with their time otherwise, and even perhaps for policymakers to provide some insights as to how they could induce persons to want to participate more in the labor force.
The Statistical Institute of Belize today released inflation figures for the first 10 months of 2024. Inflation is up nationally 3.5%, with the increase being driven by restaurants and accommodation services up 8.4%, and food and non-alcoholic beverages up 5.8%. Belmopan saw the highest inflation at 8.1%, with Punta Gorda at 2%. It is important to note that inflation rate only compares increases in prices of items within the same municipality, but does not compare the prices among municipalities. However, SIB's Director General Diana Castillo said that soon the SIB will compare the prices of basic goods across municipalities.
We do have prices for the specific products at the municipality level. However, we don't publish them because for example, different municipalities might more frequently carry different brands of products, and so we can't exactly compare brand to brand if it's not exactly the same thing. So we don't usually publish it. But what we are considering is looking at maybe a generic set of basic goods where we can compute the price per municipality, which would give a comparison not just of how fast prices are increasing, but the general price levels for basic goods.
For October figures, Independence Stand Creek had registered a 0% inflation rate when compared to October of 2023. Castillo said this does happen now and then, but she emphasized it doesn't mean that no item saw a price increase.
It happens from time to time. Sometimes we have a situation where in a particular municipality or even at the national level, you have some prices go up, some prices go down, and they kind of offset each other. So without looking in detail at what might be happening in that particular municipality, I can't really say, but it happens from time to time. It doesn't mean that prices were completely stable. It just means that what went up and what went down offset each other.
In related news, since the beginning of the pandemic, many external factors have influenced the price of goods globally. This has resulted in increases in the prices of products available to purchase locally. With prices beginning to stabilize abroad, it is expected to happen locally as well. SIB's Director General Diana Castillo explained.
10 years ago, I would say inflation was much more stable, but this has to do with a lot of the external shocks and factors that we have been experiencing, not just in Belize, but globally. So we have inflation that is induced by conditions regarding the pandemic, the global wars that are taking place. All of these things have an impact on prices, and so we have seen some much more volatile movements in prices. As was shown in the presentation, in late 2020, when we first started really feeling the effects of COVID-19 in terms of prices and our imports, we saw inflation start to steadily rise. It peaked in 2022 at around 7%, but since then we have been seeing that it has been declining. The inflation rate has been declining, meaning that while prices are still increasing, they're increasing at a slower rate. So eventually things will probably stabilize to the types of inflation rates that we are generally used to.
After the break, HelpAge executives seeking dignified treatment for elderly residents. Stay tuned.
Singmas 2024. That's right, it's a
at your fingertips.
On Tuesday at the Sister Cecilia Home for the Elderly in Belize City, refurbished private wards were inaugurated. Crime News XTV was there for a tour of the new facilities and spoke with HelpAge Executive Director Ivorine Bulwer. The inauguration happened on Human Rights Day, and Bulwer said that should include the elderly who deserve to be treated and housed in a dignified manner.
Well, today, December 10th, we are celebrating World Human Rights Day. And at the same time, as an appendage to that, we also want to share with you our private unit that we have refurbished. And it's coincide with sharing with the public about the rights of an older person to be in a dignified environment. It's a private unit that was there, and we start off there because it's a smaller area. But we had to look at doing the tiles, fixing the windows, painting, fixing the bathrooms, the cabinets, the closet, the closed closet. We made that changes because they had these little chest of drawers that they just fold up their clothes in. Why can't they have somewhere to hang their clothes? All right, that they put them on hangers, they take them off, and they dress everything at home. But they're treated in a environment is dignified. We change their fans, we change the bathroom structures, and make it home-like, a home away from home. This may be the last place they'll be before they're going to the grave. But we have got to treat them with respect. We have to make them comfortable. We have to show them that they're special.
Bulwer said another part of being able to offer the elderly residents dignified care is to ensure that staff members receive proper salaries. She says staff at the home offer care similar to KHMH healthcare personnel, but only receive what she called a pittance.
It was important to share, specifically for Sister Cecilia. This home was seen as a place for poor. They call it poor house. And with that, it was treated that way. You had staff who are still currently working, but receiving a pittance. That is unacceptable. And we shared with them that these are staff who are trained just like the auxiliary at KHMH and on other government hospitals within the institution, but comparative their salary is just very low. So we want that transformation. We are sharing with them and we are making changes for our rights, human rights of all, from birth to death. The life course be treated with respect, fairness, equity, dignity, with compassion. And so we will embark on that opportunity to revisit our agreement that we have with the government of Belize, to make some changes in that agreement, and added to that will be advocating for salary change for our auxiliary or care attendants.
In recent months, St. Thomas Street was one of the roads in Belize City that had greatly deteriorated. Potholes littered several portions of the thoroughfare. Hard-pressed to find a solution, the Belize City Council entered into an arrangement with businesses along the stretch so it could come up with the financing to get the upgrade done. Here is Mayor Bernard Wagner.
We love the partnership with the people at DG, management, and we love the partnership with people at BWS. We love the partnership with MIDH, but again, it is still City Council money. It's money, future money, that have been given to us prepayment. But it is still monies that are at the end of the day is out of future revenue streams.
Credit?
It's like you giving me the money up front for, you have 5 years of property taxes and you give me 3 years of it up front, and I will take it back out in the 3 years. So it is still, it's that sort of arrangement that went into that St. Thomas, and we welcome it and we embrace it and we love it, right? And we look for more partnership such as that.
So you're going to have to pay them back. It's kind of like a municipal.
It's an offset. No, it's an offset. It's an offset. They owe us. They will owe us properties in the future. So what they give, like they are prepaying it up front. Yeah, and so when so when property tax,
that's why you have to find
when property tax come next year, we are say, all right, we are take out this amount off of what you may pay. We are ready, and we do it for 3 years instead of 1 year. Normally, they would have done it in 1 year. That would have taken a real chunk. So we spread it over a period of time so you don't feel the full impact.
In sporting news, 3 Belizean Jiu-Jitsu athletes won gold medals in a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament in Quintana Roo, Mexico. The 3 gold medalists are from the Belize Dark Arts Academy in Belize City, which is a joint effort with the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat Belize. Coach Ronald Hyde won gold in the purple belt 77 to 85 kilos division, which featured an all-Belize medal lineup. He spoke of the competition but laments the lack of sponsorship.
Last Saturday, we competed at the Bahia Nogi Open in Chetumal, which is basically a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu international tournament, whereby 3 of our members from the Belize Dark Arts Academy went to compete, and all 3 of us came back with gold medals.
Can you talk about your competition specifically?
Sure. I competed in the purple belt division, which was at the tournament that was basically the highest level. I was able to come back with gold. What made this tournament a little bit different from past international tournaments that I competed at is that in quite some time, it was only Belize Dark Arts Academy who would make the venture to go. But this time we had a bunch of different academies from Belize who also went to attend, whereby it came down to 2 other Belizeans and myself, and I basically came on top. Currently, we don't have any sponsors besides Belize Ahmadiyya. The Belize Dark Arts Academy actually is located on the Belize Ahmadiyya compound, so it's a joint effort.
Joshua Blanco won gold in the purple belt 65 kilo division and spoke of how it feels to win a gold medal for his country.
I think it was very incredible to see Belize coming across the border and being able to compete internationally. Usually, I can say that we've been the people that would go across and represent Belize, and being that multiple gyms were able to reach out, and it's all love out there. Whenever it's just us, it's just very electric.
A very, very small percentage of people will ever be able to say that they've won a gold medal for their country. How does that feel?
Empowering. I think it should inspire other people to venture off and try new things, allow people to articulate their creativity and just put it out into the world.
Okay, so tell us about your specific competition.
I had one person in my category. I've been trying to prove myself and my art very often, and I've been competing in local tournaments, and I've been trying to find someone within my weight class and within my height and of course built. And at this tournament, I went against someone that was he was very capable, and for that experience, it was very empowering because I got to test myself and I was able to solidify my resolve in that and see where I stand when it comes to my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Of course, I'd like to thank Belize Dark Arts, Ahmadiyya, and Dark Water. I currently have a gym out at Keycocker that's getting a lot of traction, and it's very open. You know, at Keycocker, anyone can show up, from black belts to brown belts, and we just want people to know that we're all as one, and we would love anyone, if you ever feel that you want to visit, it's right there for you.
Ariane Pasteur won a gold medal in the white belt female absolute division. She was the only woman to compete for Belize and spoke of how proud she is of that fact, but wishes more women would join the sport.
It was a very wonderful experience. I was the only female from Belize competing, and it's an honor, honestly, to bring a gold medal home to my country and being the only female competitor. So it was really a really wonderful experience for me.
And the actual competition?
I competed in the female no-gi absolute division. I had 2 other females in my category, and they were both heavier than I was. So it was a real challenge. The person I went against was way heavier than me. So it was quite a fight, but I pushed through and I was successful, so I'm happy for that.
Okay, you mentioned?
It's a wonderful feeling to know that women are stepping up and making Belize look good, you know. As the only female competitor, I'm very honored to be the only one to bring home a gold medal. And I wish that there would be more female competitors, but I'd like to thank God, because honestly, without him, I wouldn't be here. My partner, my coach, Ronald Hyde, he's been training with me every so often, not every so often, all the time. He's with me all the time, training me, pushing me to be better. So I'd really just like to give thanks to him too, and all my training partners who have kept me sharp as well.
In court news, a U.S. national, 39-year-old Isaac Jeremy Flores, was paid remand when he was arraigned at the San Pedro Magistrate Court on Tuesday. He was charged with several traffic offenses after his fiancée, 40-year-old Jennifer Hernandez, fell off the golf cart he was driving this past weekend while on vacation in San Pedro. She hit the pavement and passed away after he flew over a bump. He was charged with causing death by careless conduct, reckless driving, driving without due care and attention, and failing to provide a specimen for analysis. Flores, who was represented by attorney Richard Dickey Bradley, explained that while in detention, he was unable to communicate with his fiancee's family to begin making preparations for burial. He was part of a group visiting Belize and explained that 2 other tourists who are still here passed on the bad news to Hernandez's family. And it is known that Belize imports more goods than we export, and the gap continues to widen. For the first 10 months of 2024, Belize imported $2.448 billion of merchandise, while only exporting $363.5 million. It looks bad, but it doesn't paint the full picture, as Belize also exports trade-in services, mostly in tourism, which offsets most of the merchandise trade deficit. SIB's Director General explains why trade-in services is not currently being factored into the country's external trade report, and added that it will be included soon.
At this time, the SIB doesn't produce our own trade in services statistics, so we rely on the balance of payment statistics that's produced by the central bank. They produce it with a different frequency than we do with the trade statistics. However, for next year, we will be establishing a new trade in services work program within our economic statistics department. So here we will put more of a focus on compiling a more complete picture of trade performance that includes the balance of payments data and other trade and services data.
Could you explain to us some of the services that will be included in that?
Primarily, our trade and services is tourism. So we are not big importers of services, but we are exporters of services because tourism contributes so heavily to our economy. So the net positive trade in services that we saw from the presentation, from the balance of payments, that is primarily tourism. Earlier this year, we published the tourism satellite account where we estimated that as far back as 2019, tourism was bringing into the country approximately $1 billion per year. So that is primarily tourism that we're seeing there.
And with that, we have come to the end of our newscast. A repeat can be viewed on this station later tonight and again tomorrow at midday. Join us again tomorrow for another news broadcast, as well as at 7:30 this evening for day 3 of Zinkmos. I am Marisol Amaya. Have a safe and enjoyable evening.